Okay, let's dive in. Today we're tackling something huge, AI chatbots, but specifically the ones built for online learning.
Yeah, it's a hot topic.
Definitely. We've got a great set of sources from you, the listener, covering all sorts of angles. And our mission today is, well, to really get under the hood.
To sift through the buzz.
Exactly. Look at the nuances, the
Mhm.
potential, sure, but also the real challenges, and crucially, from the perspective of the student actually using these things. I'm ready to get into it.
Me too. And it's moving fast, like you said. The sources show it's way more complicated than just, plugging in some AI.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just looking through the material, you see these chatbots aren't just theory anymore. They're actually showing up in educational spaces.
They really are. And in a few different flavors, right?
Yeah, talk about that.
Well, you've got the big learning management systems, the LMSs like Canvas from Instructure or Blackboard from Anthology. They're building AI features right into the core platform.
Okay, so integrated stuff.
Right. Then you have these other third-party tools, specialized ones.
Like Next to Your AI, I saw that mentioned. They did a demo at a conference.
Exactly. Nectar AI, Conmigo is another big one. These often connect using LTI. It's like a standard plug, basically, so different tools can talk to the main learning environment.
Makes sense. So they can work alongside the LMS.
And then maybe the most interesting part, some universities are actually building their own. They're not waiting.
Oh, wow. Like who?
Well, the sources mentioned several in Appendix A. Georgia Tech's had Jill Watson for a while. Now they're using ChatGPT tech with it. University of Michigan has MyMazy. UT Austin's got UT Sage.
University of Hawaii Hilo too, right?
Yep, Hilo's building one. So there's this real push from different directions.
Seeing all that activity, it definitely makes you think about the promise. You
Yeah.
know, that initial exciting idea.
For sure. And Kevin Brake, a researcher mentioned in the sources, he really nails that initial appeal.
What does he say?
He's got this quote, something like, AI chatbots providing on-demand, real-time, accurate information sounds good.
And it does sound good. I mean, who wouldn't want that? Instant answers, 24/7 help.
Right. On the surface, it looks like the perfect fix for a lot of student frustrations.
But, uh-oh, here comes the complexity.
Laugh slightly. Yeah, exactly. The sources dive right past that surface level. They argue pretty strongly that just loading a bot with facts, well, it misses the point.
It's not enough.
Not nearly enough, especially when you start thinking about it from the user's side of things.
Okay, and this is where they bring in sense-making. Dr. Brenda Dervin.
That's the one, Dr. Dervin's sense-making methodology. This is like the core framework the sources keep coming back to. It's crucial.
All right, so break down sense-making for us. What is it, basically?
Okay, so sense-making at its heart is about how we humans make meaning, how we navigate the world, especially when things are confusing or uncertain. When we hit a gap in our understanding.
A gap.
Yeah, and it's about how we actively try to bridge that gap to move forward. The sources contrast this with like older ways of designing
The
systems.
systems-based approach.
Exactly, like that old library card catalog example from way back in 1954 they mentioned.
Right, you had to know the exact right word. Meteorology, not weather. Automobile repair, not how to fix my car.
Precisely. The system was built around its logic. It assumed you knew what you needed and how it categorized things. If you didn't speak its language, tough luck.
Which isn't really how people work, is it?
Not at all. Dervin's work, and the sources really emphasize this, shows that humans are, well, the source uses the word squiggly.
Chuckles squiggly like that.
Yeah. We're not perfectly logical information processors. We don't always know exactly what we need or even how to ask for it clearly. Our feelings, our past experiences, they all play a role.
So the user-based approach flips that completely.
Totally. Instead of asking, does the user know my system's rules? It asks, what is this person actually trying to accomplish here? What's the underlying problem or goal?
Like that librarian example in the sources.
Yeah, that dialogue's great. The user asks for a specific book the library doesn't have. A systems-based answer is just, no, sorry.
But the user-based librarian asks,
How would that book have helped you answer your questions? Or what were you hoping to find in it? It tries to get past the specific failed request to the reason for the request.
to the actual need. Maybe they didn't need that exact book. Maybe they just needed, like the source said, pictures of immigrants arriving, not some dense theory text they thought they needed.
Exactly. The librarian acts as a sense giver, helping the person figure out what they really need to bridge their gap.
Okay, got it. So connecting this back to online learners, the sources argue that online learning environments are often particularly gappy.
Yes, gappy, meaning they have more of these points of discontinuity, these moments where a student's understanding just stops. They get stuck.
And why is that more common online?
Well, think about it. You often don't have the instructor right there. Physical distance matters. And asynchronous communication like emails or forum posts can be less rich than a quick back and forth chat. It's just easier for misunderstandings to happen or for confusion to fester.
Makes sense. And the sources actually list specific kinds of gaps, right? These channels of uncertainty.
They do. It's a really useful breakdown. There's the emotional channel.
Like, am I smart enough for this? Do I belong here? That kind of feeling.
Exactly. Imposter syndrome, feeling isolated. Then there's orientation uncertainty.
Where the heck is the syllabus?
Ugh.
Or how do I find the readings?
Yep. Basic navigation. Then technical uncertainty. My file's too big. Or how do I use this software?
Oh yeah, the tech hurdles.
Intellectual uncertainty. I just don't get this concept. The core learning material itself. And finally, remediation.
Which is like, okay, I got feedback on my assignment, but I have no idea how to actually fix it.
You got it. And you, as a learner, you've probably felt these, right? That frustration, feeling lost. This framework helps pinpoint where AI needs to step in.
Yeah, those examples are painfully familiar. So when a student hits one of these gaps,
They form what Dervin calls a problem area. It's not just the gap, it's the whole context, their history, what they feel is stopping them, what they think they need right now.
and then they look for a sense giver.
Right. That could be a person, a TA, an instructor, a friend, or potentially an AI chatbot. Something or someone to help them make sense and get unstuck.
Okay, and this leads us right to the core problem the sources highlight for AI, co-orientation.
This is it. This is the really tricky part. Co-orientation is that moment of mutual understanding. The sense giver, the AI, needs to get the user's problem as the user sees it.
And the user needs to feel understood that, yes, that's my problem moment.
Exactly. And the sources make a really sharp point about why AI struggles here compared to humans.
Because AI is basically a prediction machine.
Fundamentally, yes. They're trained on massive amounts of data to predict the most likely response, the most statistically probable answer to your query. They can sound incredibly human-like.
But it's still a sophisticated guess.
It's an estimation. Human conversation, though, is built differently. It's built for negotiation, for clarification. If I look confused, you'll probably ask, what's wrong? Or what are you trying to say? We naturally clarify.
We expect misunderstanding and we work through it.
Right. Think about talking to a helpful human librarian again. If you say, I'm stuck on my paper, they don't just dump resources on you. They ask questions. What's the topic? What have you tried? How are you feeling about it? They co-orient with you.
But an AI might just see keywords like paper help and offer generic tips.
It might, because it's predicting based on patterns, not truly negotiating the specifics of your unique gap-B situation in that moment. The sources even call it a potential zero-shot problem for AI.
Meaning it might have literally zero training data that matches your exact nuanced confusion.
Precisely. It hasn't seen your specific flavor of stuck before. This is where the human element and what the sources call emotional labor really comes into focus.
And they use the OPL program at the University of New Hampshire as an example, right?
Yeah, the OPL program, it uses human concierges. And the key thing is they aren't experts or instructors.
They're peers.
Yeah.
Students who already passed the course.
Exactly. They help with things like understanding assignment requirements, finding resources, just navigating the course.
And the sources say they're effective because they're peers.
Largely, yes. Because they've been there. They share the learner's narrative. They understand those channels of uncertainty from the inside. They remember feeling lost, finding articles, or wondering if they belonged.
They get the emotional side, too.
Absolutely. That emotional labor piece is huge. They can listen, validate feelings, help de-escalate frustration, reduce stress, just provide that human connection.
Which isn't just nice. The sources link it to real outcomes.
Right. Better student retention, even the university's reputation, that kind of support matters.
But the sources are fair. They point out humans aren't perfect either.
Definitely not. The OPLs aren't available 24/7. They don't know everything. AI clearly wins on scalability and constant availability.
So that's the tension.
That's the core question the sources pose. Given AI's current limitations, especially with co-orientation on those complex, messy human problems that come from being gappy, can AI really substitute for that human interaction when it's most needed? Or are the gaps in the AI's understanding just too wide right now?
It really forces you to think about what job we expect these bots to do. Is it just information retrieval, or is it genuine sense-giving support?
And building bots that can do that latter part, that can navigate the gaps from a user-based perspective.
Yeah.
Well, the sources lay out some pretty massive design
Oh, yeah.
challenges.
It's not simple. Like, how do you even start to train a bot to grasp the context of every user's unique situation, their personal history, impacting their confusion?
Right. And how do you get the right kind of data? Not just facts, but experiential data about where students typically get stuck, why they get confused, how they feel about it.
Plus, figuring out the difference between what the student says their problem is versus the actual underlying issue. That's hard for humans. How do you teach an AI that?
And can AI really understand those abstract goals Durbin calls helps? Like, the user isn't just seeking info, they're seeking clarity or confidence or direction. Can AI target those?
What about when multiple problems hit at once? Feeling overwhelmed and technically stuck.
Or tailoring the response.
Yeah.
A freshman needs a different kind of help than someone returning to school after 20 years.
And maybe the biggest one. Are there just some kinds of uncertainty, some gaps that will always need a human? That empathy, that real co-orientation. Maybe AI just can't replicate that, even if it's less efficient.
It really underscores that supporting learning well, especially online, isn't just a tech problem, it's deeply human.
So the sources wrap up by bringing it back to design principles for anyone building these things.
Yeah, key takeaways. First, shift focus from just what information the bot has to how people actually interact with it, their journey, their struggles.
And focus on what the user thinks they need first. Help them articulate their problem area, get their story, their narrative of how they got stuck, instead of just throwing facts back.
Build in flexibility. Realize the user's need might evolve even during one interaction as they start to make sense of things.
Basically, design it more like a conversation. Prioritize that back and forth, that co-orientation, to actually streamline the support from the learner's point of view.
It's a fundamental shift, really.
Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive into this material, we started with that shiny promise of AI chatbots in education, Kevin Brake's optimistic view.
Sounds good.
Right. But the sources quickly showed us the layers underneath. The need for a user-centered approach, understanding sense-making, the specific gaps online learners face.
And that huge challenge of co-orientation, can the AI truly get the user's problem?
It becomes clear that while AI has amazing potential for access and scale, if we ignore how humans actually make sense of things and the kinds of uncertainty they face, we might just build very sophisticated FAQs, not real learning partners.
Well said. Information isn't the same as understanding or support.
So, a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Think about your own experiences learning or just looking for information. When do you feel gappy? When does your understanding run out?
Yeah, are there times you just need a quick fact, a simple answer, more of a systems query?
And when do you need something more? Help
Hmm.
figuring out what you even need to ask, making sense of something complex, maybe even just someone to acknowledge the struggle, that deeper user-based need. What really helps you bridge your own gaps.
Food for thought. Thanks for exploring this with us today.
Absolutely. Please do like or leave a comment if this dive was helpful, or if you have your own thoughts on AI in the learning space.